Hello, hello, everyone. Thanks for dropping in. This is Aeriol Asher at Healing Body, Mind, and Soul. I'm your host, and today I have the honor and privilege to be here with Dr. Nima Rahmany, a chiropractor and educator all about whole self-care. What I really love about Dr. Rahmany's work, or Dr. Nima, may I call you Dr. Nima?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Whatever.
What I love about Dr. Nima's work is that he focuses on whole self-care and empowering people by getting to the root cause of discomfort, stress, and illness. Thanks so much for joining us.
I am stoked to be here, Aeriol. I can't wait to get into this conversation. This is the most important conversation at the most important time.
I couldn't agree more. Everybody is leaning into any self-care tips they can get, right? And we're talking about whole self-care, body, mind, spirit. And now everybody is forced to look inward at themselves. So if you're not good with your relationship with yourself, it's showing up right now.
100%.
Tell us a little bit about the work that you do. And if you could, what's driving that? What got you interested in that? Why are you doing that work?
It's an interesting question because I want you to imagine the moment when your mother was pregnant with you. Okay, what was going on in her, and I don't know you personally, so I'm just using this as an example for everybody who's listening. The moment that your mother was conceived you and your father, your biological father, conceived you, that was the moment that your unconscious mind was opened. And whatever your mother was going through at that time, whether it was, is this guy going to be around? Oopsie daisy, like, what have I done? Versus, did you have an invitation to exist? All of those things are important considerations and will make an impact on your behavior and your choices for the rest of your life. No pressure.
Yep.
So essentially, from that moment of conception to the time you're 8, you are literally at the effect, your unconscious mind, which is your body. My body is my unconscious mind. I want you to really maybe take a note of that. Your unconscious mind is completely
it's what's driving our machine.
Exactly, totally, unconsciously. We're not even aware of it, and everything is downloaded from that moment. Now, you asked me what drives what I'm doing. Well, in this moment, at this time, I got married this weekend, and we have a baby that's coming in October. Okay. So all of a sudden, everything I've ever learned about healing, everything in my chiropractic career of 20 years, helping people with stress-related issues, heal from chronic pain, chronic illness, chronic fatigue, everything that I've learned as far as the polyvagal theory and attachment theory and how our relationships and the triggers that come up in our relationships impact our information of the past traumas that we have or haven't dealt with, impacting everything, including our relationships, our feelings of abundance, our feelings of safety, our health. All of that didn't start with you. It started with the mental state and situation of your mother when she was...
I call it the mama drama. Yeah.
Exactly.
You got to clear up the mama drama. Yeah.
Same blood flows everywhere, Aeriol. So what drives me is the awareness that during this time, at this moment, the recording is the 20th of April, 2020, which is in the midst of the COVID pandemic. And I have now a bride and a baby that's developing and is now getting information around us based on my relationship with my partner, is actually impacting the rest of this child's life. So
I love this. I love this. So
yeah.
so you have a great opportunity to
Mm,
nurture that family bond and togetherness
mm,
time, and
mm-hmm,
to really control the environment
mm-hmm,
that that this subconscious being is
mm-hmm.
being imprinted in.
Totally. But none of this is possible if I myself have a dysregulated nervous system and I'm in fight or flight or freeze. And based on the attunement of my nervous system and the healing that I am doing, I've done, I'm going to indirectly impact my entire family and this child through the next generation. And this is unconsciously how intergenerational trauma gets passed from one generation to generation. That's why people say, "Oh, anxiety runs in my family," or thyroid problems and cancer runs in the family. It's a very good cop out for absolving ourselves from the healing responsibility that I have to break that cycle. Because if I say, "Oh, it runs in my family," I can then blame genetics and bad luck and take away all responsibility from going inside and healing those old traumas. And it only takes one generation to unpack, to do the difficult work, which is to unpack all of those dirty, disgusting feelings and shame and guilt and all of that stuff that I've been putting away that I don't want to feel, because it's all that old trauma that my body is now resorting to all different strategies to keep me from feeling it, with food addictions, with unhealthy habits, with drinking, with sedating myself so that I don't actually deal with it, which, if you look back, that's probably how your parents coped with those feelings. You know, that's exactly what happened with your family. That's what happened with your parents. And so you've now identified those same patterns and habits coming from intergenerationally. You're living them, and now you're unconsciously passing them through to the next generation. So what drives me is the awareness that I can stop it, that for my baby, for my child, for the future generation, I'm creating and holding a vision for a community of people who are working towards healing themselves, so that we can now have healthy, secure, attached relationships in our partnerships, in our work environment, and be connected to a cause and a vision that's greater than ourselves. That's not exclusive of people of other faiths and religions and colors and all that, but very inclusive of anybody willing to take responsibility. That's the big kind of the big obstacle there, is that we want the people that are
The
wanting to
great
take that
divide,
response.
right?
Yeah,
The
there's two
great
types of
divide,
people.
yes.
You're either wanting to step up and take responsibility, or you're really, really, and this isn't your fault because this is how your nervous system is working, you're really, really entangled in that old drama story of victim, perpetrator cycle that you just can't seem to get yourself out of. But that's the root cause of most of the illnesses and disorders that I saw in my chiropractic practice, which led me to now wanting to really teach this.
Excellent, excellent. So, what kind of things do you assist clients with if they come in to
Mm.
see you?
Yeah. See, it's an interesting thing. All of these intergenerational traumas and disorders are very hidden. We're not aware of them. They're very silent until usually there's a major crisis that shows up, usually in the form of a divorce, usually in the form of a relation, like a toxic relationship breakdown. Sometimes there's an infidelity that shows up, and it just, or a health problem. You suddenly get a diagnosis. You get MS, you have diverticulitis, you have thyroid, whatever, and it's finally causing us to wake up and go, okay, time to start looking. And the discovery is, and this is the aha moment that happens in everybody's journey, is that anyone who's actually done the healing, who've actually, there's many people who've worked on things, but this is how I can tell, because I'm studying healing. I can observe your behavior, I can observe your body language, I listen to the tone of voice by the way that you discuss your past. If it's your tone, I've become very attuned, helping sick people get well for the years. I listen, I'm watching, and I'm like, okay, tell me about what's gone on. And your tone of voice and your level of regulation, by the way that you're describing the events of your past, will tell me everything about what's happening and where you need to go in order to heal. So what'll happen is you'll start, when you don't get that right, you'll really have this resentment. You'll have shame. You'll have major regret. And you don't notice this, but what'll happen is it shows up as toxic relationship cycles, patterns again and again and again. And after their 30s and 40s, it's up to us to go, whoa, what's going on? And look back and realize that we haven't actually been in one in control. We've been controlled by these unconscious, as Carl Jung calls them, unconscious complexes from our primary core wounding that have pretty much driven the bus. And this is the kind of the fork in the road that you now reach. You now reach version fork, turn to the right, and you either stay in your story and wanting mommy and daddy to wake up and come and rescue you, or you take the other path, the more difficult path, the one less traveled, which is I'm going to take responsibility for seeing myself as part of a family system that didn't start with me. But I'm going to be the one to end it, not just for myself and my
Right, that's
future
your family
generations.
branch. That's your
Yeah.
family branch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
we
just
call
for
that the love
myself.
in Tarot. That's the lover's card, right? That is when you branch off into the it's the
Aeriol,
moment.
it has an unintended side effect. By branching into your own and taking responsibility for everything that happened in the past, what you unconsciously do is you turn around and you love and appreciate your parents for exactly who they were. And you heal them as
Yeah,
well.
because you can't have the revelation unless all
No.
of the things line up. You can't have the aha
Mhm.
moment and get on the bandwagon.
And you give your parents what they never had a chance to give for themselves, which is love and gratitude and be feeling seen and heard. That's what causes them to be the narcissistic parent. That's what causes them to be emotionally, not yet mature, and you had to parent your parents. You know what I mean? All of those really difficult experiences as a child, to have to step up and play these real roles that a child really, quote unquote, shouldn't be playing. You start to get why. You start to make sense of it all. You start to see them through their wounds, and you love them for who they are. And you literally, through one generation of doing the work, you heal your future and your past. And it was a very beautiful experience for me after my last breakup 2 years ago, where I realized this was happening and I saw myself in this, and I was like, holy shit, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm putting my place up on Airbnb, and I'm moving back in with my parents at the age of
Wow, that is
forty-three,
it's a big
feeling
choice.
like an utter failure in my life, feeling like I was like the lowest of the low. I'm going to do the unthinkable. I'm moving back in with the people who constantly are on riding my ass for not being enough and all that. And I actually healed with them. And this weekend, 2 years after all of that happened, over the weekend, they were there as witnesses for my COVID wedding, COVID pandemic wedding, tearfully watching as I was exchanging vows with a human being that we can have a deep, secure attachment with. And that was really
Ah,
the greatest gift of the work, to see them healed as well. And they were like, you have no idea what you've done for us. For them to say, you don't know how healing this was for us, because I can now empathize with them. And so that's what makes my heart sing, is helping heal families.
isn't that lovely? That's
Mm.
lovely. My personal story is very, very different. So now some of this is a little different on my own healing journey. But I
Totally.
love your I love your passion, and I love the vision of your COVID-19 wedding.
It was a blast.
Opportunity, what an opportunity too, because what's really important, you connected there energetically, you made a stronger bond, and like we discussed at the top of this conversation, creating that environment and that bubble of really the energy love, like really creating the environment around you and surrounding your life and
Love for one another.
your love and your
Yeah.
creation on this earth. So what a powerful, energetic moment.
It was
Really very
amazing. And
powerful.
we had
And
family all over the world on Zoom
isn't that cool?
watching, and I posted it on, Instagram, and it was just an amazing experience. And I felt deeply connected to everyone. Obviously, it's not the same as in real life, excuse me. But I
But
mean, it's a
different.
close second,
But
even.
it's different because the energy is much the energy is different, and you put into action something very big and something very different. You
And
know,
everybody
it's
got, here's the key, everybody had a chance to share. It was like a group call, like I do with my students. It was really neat with my clients. Afterwards, it was done. We did our little dance. Me and my bride were sitting next to one another, and we were just saying
oh,
hello. And everybody were like, who would like to share? And then we were all just kind of sharing. Hey, we had a chance for every family member to say welcome. We are so delighted. And everyone said the same thing, is like, in these times, to have something so inspiring to really be a part of was so healing for everyone. It was beautiful.
I love this technological Aquarian age. I'm all for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love what's going on, and I love the multidimensionality of it all, and how our consciousness is evolving to connect on these different levels.
Totally.
I would love for you to share, and I'm sure our listeners would love you to share, if you had a super tip that they could apply in their life today to change their awareness
Totally.
and to up their self-care game,
Totally.
what would you mention? What would you empower them with today?
I'm gonna give you a very unusual neural exercise. It's very unusual because a lot of times we do the spiritual work, and all of this work is to really feel better, right? We put on this fake kind of smile and do spiritual platitudes, when there's a child within us that wants that attention. And the best thing that I can give you, as far as an exercise to do, is just to get into your heart right now in this moment and just be with what is, even if that's fear. Oh, I'm sitting here talking to you right now, and I'm tuning in. I can feel this sense of fear, and there's a feeling that's in my chest, and I'm putting my hand over it right now. And I'm giving it space, and I'm allowing it to breathe, and I'm being with it instead of thinking that it shouldn't be here or not allowing it to be. Kind of like when children have big feelings, and our parents not understanding the art and science of nervous system regulation and attunement, because of
Depends
their
on who
own
your
feeling.
parents are.
Depends a lot of times.
Depends on who your parents are.
Right. And in that moment, not knowing that can actually create an experience where our feelings come up, and the unattuned parent would often say, don't feel that way, don't cry, don't have those feelings. And then you then kind of condition yourself to not trust them, to not allow them to feel ashamed of them, right? And the first way to get yourself back into flow is to reverse that and to be that parent that you've always wanted. Maybe you've already had, okay? Or you didn't have, and you can be that for yourself, and to just say, hey, Nima, right now it's a little scary. There's some uncertainty, and it's okay to be scared. To actually sit with it and to learn to suffer well. And that suffering happens when we stop ourselves from trying to suffer, because we think that it's not appropriate. But I'm here to tell you, all of it's appropriate and all of it makes sense. And your first way of regulating yourself is to allow that to be in a space where you're totally safe to feel it all. And when you do, instead of suppressing consciously or repressing unconsciously because it's too uncomfortable, you do a difficult thing is you allow yourself to feel. And when you allow yourself to feel, you magically start to attune with your own body. And then when you make this a practice and you cultivate this habit, you then start to attune to this little miraculous little voice inside of you that always knows what's next, always knows how to guide you. There's this navigation system inside of you that is your work to uncover in these uncertain times. And when you learn that, all of a sudden, truth starts to emerge through you. Leadership starts to emerge through you. Love starts to emerge through you, and you start to show up in the world in this unknown with an open heart like this. And when you do, all of a sudden, you start to attract synchronistic events that help you share your gifts with other people. And it all goes back to connecting with the feelings and giving them space. Can you do that for yourself, especially at this time? And can you learn to heal and change the relationship with that younger part of you that's actually feeling right now? And when you do, you now have embodied self-love, embodied self-care, embodied emerging leadership, because other people really will need you as a resourced individual. And that's the path to getting there.
Very, very juicy. Thank you so much, Dr. Nima. If my listeners would love to lean in and get some more of your sage wisdom, can you please give them a place where they can reach out to you online?
Absolutely. My website, drnima.com, drnima.com. I have a virtual workshop that I want to give as a gift to you as a listener right now. If you I'll give you the link there, Aeriol, but it's drnima.com/virtual workshop 1, VW1. And if you go in and do the promo code trigger proof, all lowercase, trigger proof, then you get my training, how to become trigger proof, for free. It's absolutely free for you as a listener. And number 2, I have a free Facebook group where I give transmissions each and every day of wisdom that'll help bring you back into your body. So the Facebook group is called Trigger Proof, and I love sharing there. And I talk about upcoming events. I answer your questions, and this is giving you full, like, face-to-face almost connection with me. If you have any questions, I'm happy to serve.
Fantastic. And if you want to be trigger proof, make sure to click on the link below in the show notes. Dr. Nima, it has been an honor and a privilege. I am so grateful that you got connected with the Healing Body, Mind, and Soul podcast network here. I'm sure that our listeners have gotten a lot of value with our time together. And I also did want to say to everybody who's listening, we still have some spots open in our Empowered Self-Care book project, and we're hoping to onboard a couple more people on that mission. Thank you, Dr. Nima. Thank you to our listeners. And make sure to tune in to Healing Body, Mind, and Soul podcast. Until next time, this is your host, Aeriol Asher. Happy healing.